Okay, so today I wanted to talk about three things that might appear to be disconnected but have a lot in common: stimming, proprioception, and primitive reflexes. So, stimming it comes from the idea of stimulation. So, maybe that is either oral or tactile or kinesthetic. Um, um, Stimulation that we're giving ourselves to help calm the nervous system. So we see this typically in ADHD and autistic children. It's a Sometimes it can be like sucking in the mouth, or it can be like squeezing of the cheeks, or um, maybe it's tapping ourselves, flapping hands. It might be humming. There's lots of different forms of it. But ideally, or what the purpose of it is to calm the nervous system. So our child is trying to help themselves. And I think understanding it from this perspective really helps us as parents, because we can see that our child is either struggling, but they're also trying to do what they need to do to calm their own nervous system. So, what I typically say is, unless they're harming themselves or their safety is at risk or someone else's safety is at risk, like banging their head, for example, um, let them do their thing and maybe offer quiet support, right? So coming up, if you're in a calm space, to be able to sit by them and just have that calming presence to help nourish their nervous system through co-regulation. And then the other one is proprioception. So proprioception is about understanding where our body is in space. So I put my hand up here. Of course, I can see it on the screen, but if I didn't have the screen in front of me, it'd be outside of the my field of vision. But I still know where my hand is in space, right? So if there's something I could grab at it without knowing where it is or seeing it on the screen, that is proprioception. It's understanding where a body is in space. So again, for neurodiverse children, we often see extra proprioceptive input needed. So that can show up as the spinners, children needing like deep pressure or big squeezy hugs. Maybe they try to like cram themselves into small spaces like lockers. But again, it's about like understanding the sort of the boundaries of their physical body. So we can play lots of games to understand this. Of course, like playgrounds are built for this. So that also helps to calm the nervous system. And then the third piece I mentioned was primitive reflexes. So primitive reflexes are something that I've been working with since 2011. They're basic reflexes that we ideally fully integrate between being in utero to about the age of 4, that really support our holistic development. And so two that I would like to speak to today are the Moro, which is the startle reflex, and the Palmer, which is that hand reflex. And these two are really connected to the nervous system, from the sense of the Moro, obviously being the startle, like our reactivity to loud sounds or lights, etc. So when this isn't integrated, we see we see heightened reactivity or struggle with sensory processing. When the Palmer reflex isn't fully integrated, we tend to see a lot of that tactile need, right? So again, sensory seeking, different textures, or even like touch, which goes back to that whole stimming idea. So while stimming, proprioception, and primitive reflexes may seem to be totally independent topics, when we're able to support our child through a holistic developmental integration, then we're able to really support their nervous system, and we tend to see less heightened or activated behaviors. We also tend to see, because of that, less of a need to stim. And I share lots of different sort of fun ways to stim that, like we do through yoga, sa, ta, na, ma being one of my all-time favorites, the butterfly tap. But really, it doesn't need to look like anything in particular. It's just finding a way that supports your child, maybe that um, won't feel obvious to them, so they don't get teased. Um, but many children do this, right? So helping your children really from that foundational level of the primitive reflexes can be so supportive for their whole nervous system, for their coordination, and for their sense of understanding their entire body, which is really powerful for these little guys. And even not so little guys, right? Very often I think even as adults, we go throughout our day and can be so busy that we feel disconnected from our body, right? That's no different to what these children do, right? That's why they're seeking that proprioceptive stimulation or input. So again, things like going out in nature, going for a walk, getting that bilateral visual stimulation, kinesthetic stimulation, walking, and even that auditory stimulation can be really powerful. So if you would like to learn more, check out the links below. This is what I do, and why it's so powerful. So yeah, check out the links below. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to help.